everyone, and I welcome you all people on this session, Earned Value Management System. In today's session, we are going to understand, we are going to learn the things I have one by one. Why projects need Earned Value Management System. What is Earned Value Management System? 5 fundamentals, prerequisites of Earned Value Management. Earned Value Management System tools, Earned Value Management System versus Earned Value Analysis. And then story, background of earned value analysis, system or management, whatever you can say it, benefits of earned value management system for the construction industry, and all those engineering projects which we are going to understand during this course. So before going into the details of upcoming slides, I will also say here that you guys can take my full training as well. You can find a WhatsApp number, you can find website, you can just click or visit that website or contact that WhatsApp number and take my enrollment in my full training course. So moving on to the next slide, what we have, first of all, we are going to have the background, the dilemma why we need earned value management system. Cost overruns have become a common theme among large scale projects. The construction of the International Space Station, for example, was originally planned with a $36.75 billion budget. This was the set budget for a satellite station project, but its final cost amounted to $105 billion. Boom. That's a hell of a difference, a 186% hike from its planned value. So that's a big reason. That's a more than 100, more than 150% than your estimation. So it's just, you can imagine, ruined your estimation as well. It was also wrapped up 6 years later than planned. Boom again. You estimated your project will be delivered within 2 years, but what will happen when your project manager will be in very miserable condition when project will be delivered in 8 years rather than 2 years? So that's a big dilemma and miserable condition. So all I have for you guys to control, to grip your projects is earned value management system. So the third point, no project manager wants to be at the helm of disastrous project that stray off their course. Of course, nobody wants to be on that position, to get pinpoint, to get cusp of that situation that your project will be completed at 186% more than your estimated cost and will be delivered after 6 years, more timeline than your estimated duration. This is when you turn to the project management discipline to find a way out. Yes, of course, project management application is the most important thing nowadays to control your project, to survive, to turn your inputs into successful outputs, what you require. Earned value management is a tried and true method that can help you solve this problem. So the next slide, we are going to have one example from my Pakistan project. Same like Islamabad new airport project was estimated to complete in 37 billion rupees, where it was completed with actual budget of 105 billion Pakistani rupees. And it was also very disastrous situation. I quoted it, you can Google it, you can find these figures. So that is why earned value management system is there. I talked to one of the leading role of that project, and he told me, he shared that disastrous story with me. And it took, you can see, 37 billion to 105 billion Pakistani rupees to deliver that project. And there was also 5 years delay in that project. So moving on to the next slide, earned value management. What is earned value management? Let me give you a brief. Earned value management is a project management methodology which integrates project scope. Project scope means whatever work or task will be assigned to you to complete or deliver, and schedule timeline. I mean, like maybe you have to deliver that project within 1 year with cost maybe $1 billion, and gauge project performance. You can see earned value management system is going to integrate these 4 parameters: scope, timeline, cost, 3 parameters, and gauge project performance. It will interlink all these 3 parameters, and then it will provide you the performance and also predict futuristic parameters to keep project within control. It will provide you all those things. I will, in coming slides, I will show everything in the graphical way to make you understand. Even in cricket matches, it is represented in the same format. I will share with you all those slides as well. I'll just make a representation here like this. You can see in cricket matches what will happen. There are two teams which are going to play. So you can see here, this is the format of cricket. First of all, the second team is going to play. It is showing the performance of the second team in that format. And you can easily visualize which team, the second team is lower, or if the performance is going to good, it can go up. But in project management and construction projects, you can see here is the cost, here is the time, okay? And whatever being executed is called scope. So these three things are correlated, and this is the performance. So you can gauge the performance of your project. So that is how it will look like in graphical shape. So I will also come on that point later on as well. So this is the definition. You guys have to be very, it's a very clear thing I have presented over here. So moving on to the next slide, 5 things. If you want to implement, you are new or you are a beginner in project management and you want to apply earned value management on your project, what do you need to do? You have to apply these 5 things. Let's dive into this, conceptual of earned value management system with me, and I will guarantee you to understand all these things in very easiest way. The first thing we are going to have here, earned value management is all about measuring and benchmarking against a well-defined plan. And therefore, you can only perform this in organization without certain key elements in place. The 32 guidelines defined under the EIA 748 standard discuss in detail the fundamental process and system for the implementation of earned value management system. Actually, this is a electronic industries aligned standard, and later on I will also focus on that thing as well, which is actually these points are important to discuss over here to give you guys a glimpse of importance of earned value management system. Actually, these guidelines are outlined as part of 5 broad principles, but again, these 5 principles are coming ahead in our coming slides. The level of details and overhead to implement should vary based on factors including organizational maturity, project size and complexity, and contractual requirements. Let's review these principles. Number 1, organization and scope of project. I already explained to you guys what is scope. The task, the things you have to deliver, you have to execute is called scope. So one by one, what you need to do in this regard, we start by identifying the what element of the project with requirement collection and scope definitions. Whatever you have to will be given to you to deliver will be called as scope. And the 5 guidelines documented as part of this principle recommended us to create 3 important documents. Work breakdown structure. The first thing to complete your scope management, to complete your first parameter of following earned value management system is work breakdown structure. What is work breakdown structure? Create a WBS dividing high level deliverables into smaller work packages. This graphical representation of the work we have set out to complete gives clarity on the scope. Actually, your project is very complex kind of thing. You have to break down your project. I'll give you an example. If you're going to read a book, and this book will also be always be comprised of different kind of headlines. You can understand what I mean by headlines are chapters. Okay, so these chapters there are headlines in any essay or any lengthy topic. These are called divisions of that topic. So these divisions will be made in project as well to understand, to scope line your project. So these things will be called as work breakdown structure. Work breakdown, like you have to break down your work as per the scope. So I'll give you an example over here as well, like this way. You can see there is a house project, and just give me a moment so I can just drag it downside. So you can see there's a bridge construction project. And first of all, you have divided your bridge construction into these 9 categories, like preliminary works, drainage work, soil work, road widening, coated widening, asphalt, structure. So what it's going to give you? It's going to, easy understanding that in which section, what I have to perform. Okay, so one by one, this is kind of, then further you have level 1, you have level 2, you have level 3. Further you will break down your asphalt work. Whatever you consider that it can be broken down into further categories. Every further detail will you give an extra detail, easy to approach, easy to execute that work, easy to understand that scope of work. So that is the part of your project management strategy. That is called WBS. Break down your work into different kind of sections is the most important thing to define your project scope. And the other thing, build a house. You can say this is also WBS: design, structure, utilities, finishing. I'm just representing here different kind of projects WBS, so you can have a good idea. Design like this, structure like this, utilities, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, MEP work is here, structural is here, finishing. Now you can easily understand where is roof. So you can go here like this. Okay, there's roofing 4.3, siding 4.4, 2.3 framing. So you can understand what is the benefit WBS. Here is mechanical construction project. You can see there is pipeline project. So you have divided. This is Primavera P6 WBS window, and you can have here piping construction, utility, and you have further divided your utility 1.1 area ABC, then above ground, then pipe rack, then fabrication. And then you have this tank fabrication project. Same tank too will be divided into shell plate fabrication. And then shell plate fabrication will be comprised of these 4 further headings: first course, second course, third course, and fourth course, and so on. Tank to annular plate, rectangular plate, all these things will be divided as per your scope of work. And it is important to do that. Why? Because your all team will be on the same page. If you will not define your project scope, it is like wastage. You have to be very clear in defining your project scope. So further on, we have one more WBS example over here. Just give me, no, it's done. Okay, that's fine. So now I have the second most important thing after WBS, OBS. Organizational breakdown structure creates an OBS, a form of an organization chart, which shows the people, teams, and departments that are involved in a project, along with their hierarchy, roles, and responsibilities. OBS addresses the who element, the authority, the responsibility, human beings. Okay, so project doers, you can say much more words, but I think that's you can understand. Now I'll give you the example. You can see there is a project manager. Under this project manager, there is manager construction, there is manager civil, there is MEP manager, there is architect manager. Under the, you can see there is authority, there is a responsibility. So that is called OBS. So after OBS, you can have the third most important thing which you require to define your scope of work is responsibility assignment matrix. Interpose the WBS and OBS to create a RAM defining exactly which task will be performed by whom. It will actually define your OBS levels. Each of these mappings or control accounts will be measured in future stages. You can see here, this is the RAM table, WBS code. So this WBS code, which I have presented in earlier stage, as per, you can see if there is WBS code 2.3, questionnaire design, project manager A, task leader SA, staff leader, and you can see primary as secondary responsibility A, approval. Okay, so task leader will be secondary responsibility. If this guy is absent, now you have to go. This is very important thing, blame game will not be done in presence of this RAM model. So this, everybody will be aware who is responsible for which task. So this is the most important. These three things will be combined. Like this is the scope of work. What you have to do, you have already divided your project into WBS into different sections. And meanwhile, you have assigned people that which person is actually monitoring which WBS and with which capacity, with which authority, and with which responsibility. So these three things are going to make a combined unit to run your project in smooth way and to implement an earned value management systems in very successful way. So moving on to the next slide, the second important thing in prerequisites is planning, scheduling, and budgeting. So let's see what we have here. So the objective of the guideline, this principle, is to help define the project baseline in concrete terms. These are the parameters against which the project will be monitored and controlled throughout the life cycle. The WBS is a good starting point for the planning stage. We ensure that multiple activities are grouped under a single work package and multiple work packages are grouped under a single control account. Already I have explained you guys that every project is divided into further WBS. So WBS actually having two further categories like deliverable and work packages. So that's the same point that it should be grouped under work packages to define your scope in more precise way. So that is important for your planning, for budgeting, for defining your timeline. So if you want to learn all these things in more accurate, in more detailed way, where I have explained each and everything from very scratch level, you can enroll in my full course. And each account will have an account manager. Yes, when you will define your project, when you will break down your project, at every stage you have to define your OBS, your authority, responsibility, alternatives, so that you can run your project in smooth way. And the next slide, what we have next slide. Okay. At this point, we define the when element, defining both high and low level as milestones and assigning, yes, the activity, duration, and calendar time span when this activity is going to start. Okay. And then we move on to the time phased budget allocation, which time, what, how much budget, how much cost we are going to allocate. Apportioning the total budget at the level of each activity inside a work package. Yes, you know, you can see that you have to define your project into different categories. Then you have to define allocate cost, you have allocate responsibilities, but here we are talking about cost. This includes costs such as labor, material, and subcontracting. We also assign method of progress measurement to each work package, which will decide, yes, we will define that, let's say I'm going to give you an example that we have EPC project. So E means for design or engineering. So we are going to track this phase as per man hours, okay, and then weightage and procurement as the man hours will be under, okay, cost, man hours, and then construction phase will be monitored as per the weightage of cost, procurement under the cost or man hours. So it will be defined on these stages that which phase will be monitored on what kind of methodology. So there is another point. The sum of all budgeted work is called the performance measurement baseline. Yes, all these work packages, all these deliverables will be summed up, and then the complete document will be logged as your baseline. Okay. And additionally, project managers allocate management reserves for unexpected scope increases. Yes, there is contingencies you can see, you can say reserves. You can allocate for your unforeseen things or for management kind of tasks. So the third thing, accounting for actual costs, that this thing we are going to have over here. A set of 6 guidelines discuss the process of cost calculation. The focus of this activity is simple to measure the actual cost. You, as per, site, whatever work is going to happen or going to be executed, you have to calculate and what is the methodology for that one. So, but it's important to have system in place that can track cost at a work package level. Otherwise, it will be difficult to measure progress accurately. Yes, you should develop the templates, monitoring templates and all that. And then the smooth system from where the progress records are going to forward to which party. Also, it is possible that you may be paying out the actual cost only a few months later, but a portion of it has to be allocated much earlier to calculate the earned value. Yes. To calculate earned value, you have to do that one as well. To avoid these booking lags, the guideline emphasizes on accounting for accruals. And then fourth, analyzing and reporting on project performance. So here we are analyzing and reporting on project performance. The calculation of planned value, earned value, actual cost, along with variance and indexes are described in detail in this section with 6 guidelines. Later on, the second portion of earned value management system. The idea is to consistently report these numbers such that team members, senior leaders, and customers have visibility into project progress. This is what we call as key performance indicators, okay? But the focus is as much on identifying the corrective actions to be taken as the measurement against the baseline and reporting numbers. Yes, of course. Whenever you are going to represent your progress in that shape of key performance indicators, every person, every authority sitting in that progress review meeting should have idea that what strategy should be taken after having this kind of progress. The guidelines recommended defining variance thresholds when the cost performance reports indicates a threshold breach in a control account. One can drill down to spot the problematic task. If you can see that your project performance should be minimum 40% and it's going to be like 39%, you should have alternative plan that what you need to do to control your project. Fifth, revisions and data maintenance. So revisions and data maintenance, the 5 guidelines under this section acknowledge that the project baseline is not rigid, especially when problem areas are uncovered in the middle of a project. But you cannot revise a baseline every time you overspend or there is a delay in a task. Some scenarios when the guideline recommend revising a baseline are when there is an authorized change to the scope, cost or schedule of the project, or when there is a fluctuation in the rates. Yes, the point is that every time, every other week, you cannot sit down with your planning engineer, quantity surveyors, and let's make revision of this schedule. Rather that you have to expedite your site progress. You have to deploy your machinery as per your plan. First of all, you have to develop your realistic project schedule. It's not like that you have to dream out that your work should be like that. You have to consider your on-ground machinery, your on-ground manpower, your productivity as well. So both things should be synchronized to avoid every other week revision of your schedule, okay? So that is the point. Creating change management and risk management plans, seeking necessary approval and evaluating the need to dip into the management reserves are some of the activities that fall under this section. Yes, if there is additional work, it should become through change management, or if there is unforeseen circumstances, it should be encountered via risk management to make your project reserves or contingencies or, via proper approvals and all that things, okay? Tools and templates. So for earned value management, you need complete processes, complete tools like softwares, like templates. In softwares, you can have grip on Excel. You can process your data from raw data to informative data. MS Project, Primavera P6 are more important softwares to learn to depict your earned value management system to apply these things. Another important terminology used in this context is earned value analysis. And earned value analysis is a quantitative technique used to evaluate project performance by computing schedule and cost variance. Earned value management uses earned value analysis as one of its tools, but is larger in scope. While EVS stops with the computation part, earned value management is all about using that data in trend analysis and forecasting. We are going to have in the second part as well. EVM is a project management function, so it deals with both the data itself and the action taken in light of that data, because it's also going to deal with your prediction that what you need to do, because forecasting is all about that thing. And then history, let's dive into the history part. Earned value analysis, earned value management system have a fascinating earned value analysis, earned value management system have a fascinating origin story. In the 1960s, 35 criteria were drafted for the US government's contractor management systems to follow. And what it is, later in the 1990s, the American National Standard Institute, ANSI, and the Electronic Industry Association, EIA, developed these into 32 guidelines for EVMS application and all that. For technology system used in several US government agencies such as the Department of Defense, DoD, and National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. This has now become the gold standard. At the same time, the EIA 748 standard is not required to implement EVM. All those criteria and the rules around them have contributed to a perception that earned value management is difficult and onerous. And the good news is that earned value management metrics are actually quite straightforward, and your EVM process can be implemented with as much or as little rigor as your particular project requirement. And benefits of earned value management systems are as follows. First of all, according to a detailed study by Fleming and Koppelman, once you are 20% into a project, your current performance can be used to predict the future of the project with a plus or minus 10% deviation. I think you got my point that when your project is like 20% timeline is elapsed or your 20% project progress is achieved, then you can correlate, you can now memorize, recall the definition of earned value management system. There are 3 parameters you have to correlate: time, cost, and scope. And when 20% project progress is done, now it will show that how much time it took to complete your 20% and how much remaining time, then how much you require your budget, time, effort, and everything, which we are going to study in details in our second part as well. So after 20%, it's going to predict your project progress with 20% deviation, like plus or minus. So that's a very important thing for all those project managers who want to control their projects. This powerful predictive capability is made possible by EVM, making it one of the best project cost control measures available. So one by one, earned value management is a power tool with many benefits, enabling you to map work with cost, reducing unknown into quantifiable factors, compare and benchmark the current status against the project baseline, and identify critical paths. Create a database framework to take actions and make decisions for the future. Intervene fast and ahead of time. For example, you can tweak project scope and budget, roll back functionalities, procure more resources, invest in better technologies, set customer expectations, provide visibility and create accountability in stakeholders through clear metrics, provide insight into the big picture at both project and portfolio levels. So that's it, guys, for earned value management systems. And in coming slides, or in second part, we are going to understand earned value management core concept, KPI dashboard, variance analysis, performance and index analysis, and forecasting analysis. So that's it for today. Don't forget to watch second part as well. Thank you very much.